that depicted actually, it's a surprise, right? But even then, I still didn't know what being Mexican was all about. And so the more that I was doing some soul searching, I realized, like, who am I? Who am I really? I come from immigrant parents. My grandparents came here back in the 40s and 50s, working. My grandfather was working the rail track, sending money back home. He had nine kids. You know, my mom being one of them. She migrated here in the 60s. Married my father. I was born late 70s, and then from there, you know, growing up in a Hispanic community, looking at my father working as a mechanic, as a body man, working on cars, seeing my mother working in factories, seeing my neighbors working in landscaping, my other neighbors working in the hotels, the neighbor across the street, you know, working construction, and I started realizing to myself, like, man, everybody that I know in my community is either working in a hotel, working in a restaurant, doing landscaping or construction, or fixing cars. That was it. And so for me, it was like, I wasn't gravitating to that. Like, I don't want to be that. And so that other option, obviously, was the gangs. But it was in the sense that I saw some identity in them. I saw myself in them. I saw how they had a sense of pride. And I mentioned this in the film. They had a sense of pride of who they were and what they represented. When they would wear those colors, when they would have these tattoos or wear their hats, you know, to the left or the right, or these old beat up cars, you know, they just have a lot of pride to put some rims and they were like, hey, that's a nice car. The music, the language, all these things, there was a sense of pride, and I gravitated to that. It wasn't the allure of money, it wasn't the allure of fame, like that. It was a sense of a subculture, a culture within a culture that I felt like I could belong in. A culture that actually embraced me. But again, it was through my experience in prison that I realized who I really was, what my calling was. And at the same time, you know, growing up in a Baptist home, I realized, you know, my parents didn't bring me up this way. You know, I'm not sure what version of the film you saw, if it's the one they played on PBS or another one that they've been having through some universities. But, you know, I come from a family who both my brothers served in the military, during the Iraq War, served in Afghanistan. That one brother served 13 years in the Army already. A brother who did, you know, 4 years active and still was recalled for 2 more years. My sister works for the Fed, Homeland Security. Who would have thought that? I had another sister who was a probation officer, a correctional officer, a parole officer, and now she works for the head of the Department of Human Resources in McAllen, Texas. And sadly, I mentioned that because Kobe talked about, you know, getting this chance from ceasefire. For a lot of people who come out of prison, we don't have this opportunity. We don't have the opportunity to actually give back. My sister, being the head of the Department for Human Resources in Texas, was like, hey, even I could hire everybody in our family, but because of your background, we have a zero tolerance, we can't hire you. So I used to hear my sister crying behind the phone and telling me like what she wished she could do and all this other stuff. And I was like, well, I'm definitely not going to Texas. So I figured I'm going to try my chances here in Chicago. And so far, when I came home, I went straight to college. You know, I started volunteering, trying to find ways to give back to the community that I took so much from. And now I'm about to graduate with 2 degrees from Northeastern. One will be in social work, and then I recently got accepted here in Chicago. I got accepted about Central District University, but I applied to UIC. There was some mishap with my paperwork, so I was just getting like I didn't even think the FCA program, but so I say that to you because often we're looking for these first opportunities or second opportunities, and I'm so glad that ceasefire gave me that chance, and I'm so glad that my university that I attend, the professors there in the social work department were very supportive in what I was doing. In fact, a lot of the projects that I work on, that I started, I developed, I have students and professors coming out and helping me out with the program. So I take a lot of pride. That's the reason why I mentioned Northeastern. I feel like I shouldn't be saying that here at UIC, but So pretty much that's kind of what I wanted to share with you guys today, and hopefully we can have a open discussion and dialogue where it's not just Kobe and myself doing all the talking. We really want to hear you guys and what you felt from this film and maybe some of the challenges you've had. So